So good evening. Welcome to March 1st Tuesday. I don't know how that happened so quickly. I guess February was short, so we got cheated out of a few days, right? And we had a snow day thrown in there and a few other things to kind of break up our month. So it's my first Tuesday with you guys of 2019. I played hooky in February. I was in India. I tried to find a place where my cell phone didn't work, but it turns out India has really good cell phone coverage. Right, yes. So it was kind of a dirty trick, but nonetheless, I heard that my lieutenants did a phenomenal job. Thank you, Rick Given and company, holding it down and giving you guys a exciting first Tuesday of 2019. So thanks for coming out tonight. I know it's starting to get a little drizzly outside, but tonight we are hosting something that we feel as a leadership team here at Northwest and as an agency very passionate about, which is our homeless initiative. So if you came out tonight, that means you have some interest in knowing what we're doing about what some would call a homeless problem, what others would call a pending homeless crisis. But I'll be honest with you, I don't think homelessness is the problem. I think homelessness is the result. And you're probably wondering the result of what? Well, I think it's a result of failed mental health within a societal confine. I think it's a result of maybe people that come back with some form of PTSD, some sort of post-traumatic stress syndrome, some sort of untreated problems that start to manifest. And I think that a lot of times when emotions and instability and lack of sleep manifest and manifest and manifest, we start to self-medicate. And when we start to self-medicate, it then a lot of times turns into addiction. Addiction of alcohol or drugs or anything to kind of numb us, right? And then eventually we know what happens on the other end of addiction. We start to suffer loss, maybe family loss, divorce, job loss, and then ultimately what? The loss of our home. So then what's on the other end of all of this is homelessness. And so now you understand why we look at it as the result, not the issue. So it almost seems a little backwards that we're treating the result without treating the systemic cause. So here at Northwest, we're really working hard to focus on the cause. Yes, we're absolutely going to address the result. That's the easy part. But how do we partner with our elected officials, which is why I'm so grateful every time they come, because that's the partnership we need. That's really where we have to start to address funding and places that we can start to build mental health programs and places that can help people coming home from this long-standing war that we've been experiencing. And listen, let's be honest, it's not just veterans that experience it. I guarantee you a good majority of police officers or firefighters or emergency room workers or anyone that sees day-to-day trauma has some semblance of impact and trauma stored in their body. And left untreated and left undiscussed or undiagnosed, we too can manifest into those kind of issues. So tonight, I wanted you guys to have an experience from a variety of places, both what we're doing internally here at Northwest, what the city is doing, the fantastic partnerships that we have, and also what we're doing to address it on a more global level within our agency. And I think you're going to be really impressed because the sheriff has made it very clear that on top of violent crimes, specifically gun crimes being his priority, he's focused at addressing homelessness and really getting to the root cause of it, and making sure that our city doesn't end up with issues that you see around the country, such as Portland and Seattle, where they have a true systemic issue that has taken over parts of their city. So how do we get in front of that? And moreover, and more importantly, how do we help these people, right? At the end of the day, how do we get them the help and services they need to get them back integrated into society in a progressive and efficient manner? So I want to take a moment to introduce my incredible leadership team, because really I get to be the cheerleader and talk to you about all the fun stuff, but they're the ones doing all the hard work, make no mistake about it. My right hand, Lieutenant Rick Given, he's my administrative lieutenant. He does all of the detectives, he does all the cool stuff. He's like, I was going to say the Lacey to my Cagney, but I was trying to think of a better reference. But he does all the flex teams, the community outreach team that you're going to see present tonight, kind of all the cool whiz-bang stuff. And next to him is my graveyard lieutenant, Tim Hatchett. So we love him because he protects us when we sleep. So make sure and be really nice to him because he's like the night owl that's up early. My day shift lieutenant, Carmen Donegan. who is actually, this is her first Tuesday tonight, so I'm going to get off the floor here in a second. She put this all together for you and came up with the topic and the speakers and the awards both internally and externally. It's an important thing for me that it's not just me being the talking head here, because Northwest is more than that. Northwest is made up of all these people and all of their input, and they really deserve the chance to showcase it to you, which is why the way we do it this way. And last but certainly not least, my Swing Shift Lieutenant Troy Berry. So give them a hand because they're the ones that make it all right. The guy hiding behind them that looks like a British Lance Armstrong, that's my COP, Sergeant Stu Richmond. And then all the other fine-looking folks in uniform around the room are our community outreach team. So if you need something or you have questions when we finish tonight, they'll be available to take all that information and ensure some further follow-up. I just want to take a second before I get off to say thank you to 7-Eleven Pawan for providing all of our pizza tonight. We're always so grateful. He couldn't be with us tonight because he was really under the weather, but if he has a representative here, please take our sincere gratitude back. And then, like I mentioned to you, our elected officials, they get to come this evening, Starbucks Anthony and my dear friends, Michelle Fiore. They are, and then you guys want me to announce you too? No, you want to hide in the shadows. All right, and their right hands have all come tonight. So if you have questions that they can answer better, try not to overrun them at the end. But if you want to raise your hand, I'm sure they'll take questions through me at the end and answer them for you. But thank you two so much for coming out. I appreciate it so much. It makes us such a powerful team to be able to work together. So thank you both. We're gonna. We're going to do something special. He's got a special thing. Okay. He's going to get his own spotlight. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to introduce Carmen Donegan to come up and take the show.
Hello.
Just because the sound doesn't travel as good. Jerry is special.
He's bossy.
Okay, so I would like to start out this first Tuesday by recognizing one of the day shift officers who's worked for me for over a year. This police officer, there were so many things that he has done, so much dedication to Northwest Area Command that he has actually showed that it was difficult to write this. I had to limit it to just one category. But the officer is going to be Police Officer Garrett Escarton. If you'd please come down here. Garrett has dedicated himself to this department, the agency, the community, and our officers to such an extent. He's also part of the Honor Guard. He's traveled to Carson City. He's also traveled to Washington, D.C. He's been part of the casket detail for fallen officers. He's also organized our police memorial run for Northwest Area Command, and he's done that. This is the second year that he's done that just at Northwest. But Garrett, throughout the past year, you have displayed a relentless dedication to training the officers at Northwest Area Command. You served as our training liaison officer. You became an instructor and personally conducted training in the following areas: defensive tactics, the 40mm less lethal firearm, multi-assault counterterrorism action capabilities, use of the ballistic shield, door breaching, and taser training. You also took the initiative to train our civilian staff on active shooter procedures in order to ensure their safety. As a field training officer for the past 5 years, you are always striving for excellence and work to produce the best police officers within the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. In the field, you assert yourself as a leader during tactical situations. Your dedication to excellence has resulted in having the best trained officers to serve the citizens of Northwest Area Command. You have demonstrated the LVMPD value of excellence and are commended for your dedication to keeping our community safe. Thank you for your outstanding service. Thank you. Thank you very much. Lieutenant Dave Valenta from Sexual Assault, come up here because he has an award to give a citizen that is very important.
First, introducing myself, I'm Lieutenant David Valenta, work with the Sex Crime Section. This is my Sergeant, Tony Campanella. He's one of my sergeants working in the Sex Crime Section. And before I get in specifically with Stephen Koss here, just like to take a second here and talk about a very specific incident we had back in January. Many of you probably know, probably saw in the news, we had a very horrific sexual assault where a little young child was literally abducted off the street, kidnapped, sexually assaulted. Every parent's worst nightmare. And I want to take credit and absolutely can't say my 23 years on this department, never been more proud of Metro and of the community than I was on that day in that investigation. So first I want to make sure, let's everybody give a round of applause for Captain Larkin and everybody in Northwest. By the time I got out there, every able-bodied Northwest uniform officer was saturated in that area. And that was a huge part of the success. The citizens, the community group, everybody that came together was huge. And then what my detectives did on the back end was absolutely remarkable. So I just want to make sure we recognized everything that Northwest did for us up there. So with that, without further ado, for Stephen Koss, on January 24, 2019, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, Northwest Area Command, responded to a call involving the sexual assault of a child. The young girl's brave and initial account of her harrowing experience led every available officer to respond. Patrol officers canvassed the area and informed neighbors of the nature of the investigation. You, Stephen Koss, immediately assisted our investigation by reviewing your newly installed surveillance system. You found a truck matching the suspect's vehicle description and turned that video over to authorities. The physical descriptors of the suspect vehicle gathered from your surveillance video was a key factor in steering the investigation. Your quick response gave us the proper information we needed to locate the suspect and bring justice to a brave young girl. The suspect's capture gave our victim and the entire Las Vegas community back their sense of security. Stephen Koss, you have honored LVMPD's commitment to be partners with the community. We thank you for your service.
The next officer that I'd like to recognize is Police Officer Laura Van Dyke. Officer Laura Van Dyke, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for all your volunteer time, effort, and hard work that you have put in at Northwest Area Command, Community-Oriented Policing. You are usually the first patrol officer to notify COP of any problem houses, homeless issues, and squatter houses that you locate while on patrol. Your complete follow-up, including all the pertinent information that is required by COP to follow up, makes our job more efficient. For example, there's a squatter house that you received a call for service for. You responded and performed some diligent follow-up. The individuals provided you a fake lease and they claimed ignorance. You performed a proper investigation and ultimately you arrested the people for unlawful occupancy. You have helped set up numerous events, attended First Tuesdays, scheduled and helped at our women's safety class, and attended numerous classes to broaden your depth of knowledge on COP-related issues. Officer Van Dyke, thank you for your extra volunteer time, even after working a full shift, and dedication to helping the community and making it a safer place for us to live and work. Now I would like to recognize one of our city partners, Jerry Walker. He is the City of Las Vegas Director of Maintenance. Jerry Walker, on behalf of Northwest Area Command, we would like to express our gratitude for you and your team's efforts helping in our community. Our community-oriented policing team at Northwest Area Command would like to thank you for your dedication on making our community a better place to live in. You and your team have helped transform run-down and degraded areas, especially making them more aesthetic and virtually crime-free. The Hualapai Canyon Trails, where Northwest COP teamed up with you and your city work team. We went into the tunnels and located graffiti, used needles, human waste, and easy access for people to get into those tunnels. You and your team removed the graffiti, blocked off drainage tunnels with grates, put up specific flood channel trespassing signs, and removed foliage to make it less attractive to the unhoused who were camping in the tunnels. You are an invaluable community partner, and your efforts have not gone unnoticed. It is a pleasure to work with you and your team, and your response to our areas of concern for cleanups is tremendous. We would not be able to do it without you. We believe in building great relationships and forging strong community bonds with our partners. You have proven to be a force to be reckoned with in the community, and this makes a difference in the place we all live and work in. We are very fortunate and lucky to have you as part of our community, and we really appreciate your time, effort, and hard work. As a token of our appreciation, we at Northwest Area Command would like to recognize you as our community partner for the month of March 2019. Thank you so much.
Hey, what you guys have to know about Jerry is people told us for months we couldn't do what we wanted to do. We couldn't make these drainage ditches uninhabitable. They told us we couldn't. We'd never get it accomplished. And the second Stu found Jerry, he goes, yeah, we can do that. He has the can-do attitude. He found a way. He never said no. He said, let's figure it out together. And for us, that was unbelievable. And you can't even imagine what strides we've made since this partnership. You have no idea. We go and we brag to other area commands like, oh, you guys don't know Jerry Walker? We do. And so we try not to pass your info out too much because we don't want you to, get taken advantage of. But we want you guys, I want the community to know that this man has made a huge difference in Northwest Area Command.
So I'm Michelle Fiore, your councilwoman up here, along with Councilman Stavros Anthony, and he's got some other words to say. But I have to tell you that I'm not surprised that Jerry Walker has been nominated for the Las Vegas Metro Police Department Citizen of the Month. Jerry goes out in the worst weather, driving around, making sure detention basins aren't overflowing, even on his days off. I was in DC, we had the biggest storm, it was in the middle of the night, and he's calling me at 11 o'clock at night, okay? So he watches for flooding areas and down trees, calling crews out. Besides him, he'll call his crews out in the middle of the night. Communications referred to him as the Midnight Guardian, and I have to tell you, so when we're in our bed, resting, laying in our bed with our dogs, he's out there. He's out there. Jerry Walker works citywide. However, I would like to name a few great things he's accomplished just in this area, Ward 6, out here in the Northwest. To name a few, did an outstanding job with the rabbit issue we had at Thule Springs, from working with volunteers to going above and beyond by relocating rabbits, building them a bunny mansion, okay, and ensuring their safety before work began on necessary restoration and maintenance of our historical structures and buildings. We have gotten calls on multiple occasions of concerns of vulgar graffiti on our roads, which included racist slurs and remarks. Jerry prioritized these concerns and had gotten these remarks covered up within a matter of hours. And if you visit any of our city parks, including the ones out here in the Northwest, they are always maintained and beautiful. Jerry truly cares and goes above and beyond in addressing any concerns that we alerted to and maintaining our parks spotless. I have pages and pages of all that he does, so I'm going to give it to Councilman Stavros right now.
Okay, thanks. Hi, Jerry. You know what we're doing this about?
I knew we were doing something, but I didn't know what.
So again, my name's Stavros Anthony. I am the Las Vegas City Councilman who represents Ward 4, and I just want to tell you a couple of stories. First of all, the kind of the way I gauge my success and how I gauge the City of Las Vegas' success is when all of you are driving around Ward 4, which I represent, do you feel good about your ward? Are you proud of your community? I want you to be able to say that when you're driving around. I am really proud of the City of Las Vegas. So when I was first elected in 2009, one of the the first things I noticed was the medians in our major arterials were not really very nice looking. There was cement, there was weeds growing out of them. It wasn't something that you would look at and say, I'm really proud of that. So I'm learning things about the city. This is 2009. I'm asking about what we can do about it, and all I heard was we don't have any money. We're broke, and we kind of were in 2009. So I met Jerry, and I started talking to him about it, and I said, Jerry, these medians, I mean, really, it would be nice to fix these up, make them look good. And he got on it. He found a couple of bucks, he got his employees involved, and when you drive up and down Cheyenne, when you drive up and down Rampart, all those fake cactus, all those fake animals, all those coyotes that all of a sudden you think are going across the street, Jerry Walker right here. He did all that. And I know all of you, when you see all that going, I am proud of my city for putting that in there and making this look great. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Recently, as we mentioned tonight, the homeless situation is getting to be an issue. It was always downtown. We always thought about, when you talk about homeless people, they're downtown. Not anymore. The last several years, we started to see them moving up west. They're living along 95, right next to the corridor. They're living in the sewers. They're defecating. There's needles. It's becoming a public safety hazard. It's becoming a crime problem. And I went to Jerry and said, can you help us out? And he got on it. He got on it. He got with Metro, and we created this this squad of Metro and Jerry and the Nevada Department of Transportation is involved, and we're on it. And it's because of guys like Jerry Walker at the City of Las Vegas who just get things done with you when you ask him. So I'm very proud that he's a member of our city, and on behalf of myself and Councilwoman Fiore, I have a certificate of recognition given to Jerry Walker, signed by the mayor and the entire city council. So congratulations.
You're okay.
Okay. Thanks all of you for coming out tonight.
Good evening, I'm Sergeant Richmond, as previously introduced, CRP Sergeant for Northwest Area Command. And as you can see today, we're going to be talking about our Northwest Area Command Homeless Initiative. Now, we've all seen the homeless out there. They're everywhere, right? Just like Stavros Anthony just mentioned. So what we're going to touch on is what we've been doing the last year in Northwest Area Command, and what we're doing with the homeless outreach team, the two officers sitting up front, and moving further forward, our maintenance plan as well. So we're going to understand the issues that we have and learn what resources available and which we offer to the homeless as well. Because basically the one thing that we don't want to do is have this. This is, anyone guess? Los Angeles. Skid Row in Los Angeles. Look at that pile of trash right there. That's what we don't want happening to your neighborhoods. This stuff needs to be cleaned up before it even gets there. So what we've been doing the last year and a half is working on this along with the city and our ward members as well, to prevent any issues popping up in the areas of concern that we work in all the wards. Now, as previously mentioned, there's 6 wards we have in the whole area of Las Vegas, and the #1 concern is the homeless when we spoke to them. So that is the big issue from the sheriff down and for all the ward partners as well. So for the next slide, this is 2017. This is how many FIs or field contacts we had with the homeless with our officers in 2017. As you can see, there's 315 contacts we had. And the little hot spot right here, that represents the mass of contacts we had with the homeless in those certain areas. So when I fast forward to 2018, you can see an increase of 100% almost, the 628 contacts we had with the homeless. And what is that due to? Well, that's due to an education to our officers about what to do when they come into contact with the homeless, and finding the homeless as well and where they're at. And also citizens let us know where the homeless are at, If we don't get the information from you guys, the audience, our community, we're not going to know where the homeless are at. So that's why you see a big increase of 100% in just 2018 since the insertion of our homeless initiative. And hotspots, as you can see on the left, they morphed from that one area down to this area as well. And just like our councilman said as well, they're all along the freeway areas. That's where they like to live, that's where they like to hide out, that's where they like to panhandle. So this is going to be calls for service, the CFS, that's what it stands for. In 2018, that's 1,289 calls for service in Northwest Area Command for the whole year. That's a lot, right? That's a lot. As you can see underneath, valley-wide, there's 100 calls for service per day, reference homeless issues. So what we do is we figure out for our intelligence, for our area command intelligence officers, where the main problems are. And they put together like a little spreadsheet every month, and we find out where the biggest problems are. So X-ray 2 right here, that's one of our sector beats. That's our biggest problem area. That would be right here. And then we have Victor 4, which is another sector beat. That would be right here. They're the two areas we focus on a lot with our ward partners and our resources and our homeless outreach team. Right here, the dispos. This area means how many people we warned or we gave warnings to without citing or arresting, because we're not going to arrest our way out of the problem. And then we got resources too as well. And that's the big thing, is getting resources to these homeless people off the streets. This is just the last quarter of last year. As you can see, the hotspot changed a little bit. It started moving south, down towards our Victor 4 area, so a little bit more. And they move around, as you know, they move around. We will go down, speak to them, give them resources. They will leave that area, but where do they go? We like to get them into housing if we can, but they do move around into different areas. So that's why you see the hotspots moving. So I'm going to look at the comparison right here on this slide. This is, we're down 12% in calls for service since the inception of our homeless outreach. Hold on, ma'am, just for a second.
Where is the location you're pointing? I mean, maybe I'm not seeing them.
Right here?
Yeah.
What are the streets?
This is going to be Rainbow, Westcliff area, so Summerlin Parkway 95 area. That's where that area is. That's our main concern area right now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So we're down since the inception of our homeless outreach, working with our ward partners and with our resource teams, the city and the county. We're actually down 12% calls for service now, which is very good, and that's the way we want to keep it. Our whole aim, ma'am, I'll take the questions at the end.
Could you just echo what the other woman said? If you could identify each hotspot across streets, because we can't read it from here.
Okay, no worries, absolutely. So what we're talking about then, I'll touch on that real quick. Thank you for the question. So that would be Rainbow and Westcliff, so Summerlin Parkway 95, and the other area would be Cheyenne and 95.
Thank you.
All right, so they're the two areas of concern, and I'm sorry, I apologize, I should have mentioned that. So they're the two areas where we had the most problems with the homeless, and where we're getting the most calls for service and the most contacts with the homeless as well. So yeah, we're down calls for service, working with everybody, which is good, but still the hotspots are still there. One thing I did want to touch on was the Painted Desert area. That would be Stavros Anthony's ward, and we dealt with them. We worked with you guys back in May of last year when this problem came up, and we worked with Jerry as well on this. We had numerous calls for service. There was homeless people living in the tunnels between the Sound Wall and Painted Desert, and they were still in bikes, committing petty larcenies, panhandling, trespassing, actually burglaries as well. So this came to our attention, and we worked with Jerry Walker on putting up fences, putting new locks on the gates. The holes in the fences were put up as well and covered up. And this is the hotspot now. This is one call for service that we've had since we've done that work with our ward partners and with our resources too. So the crime has been eliminated in that area, and part of what we do as well is follow up. We don't just clean up an area and leave it. We follow up every week. My guys, my team, we go out twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we go to Painted Desert. We make sure no one's living in those tunnels and committing crimes in the neighborhoods. So I've got a couple of videos to show you guys. They're very short.
Welcome to fabulous Las Vegas, says the sign, greeting tourists from all over the US and the rest of the world. But few of these visitors know that not far away from the bright lights of the Las Vegas Strip is the entrance to a much different Las Vegas, a much darker one. Thanks to activists from the non-profit group Shine a Light, VOA was given access to this drainage tunnel, which has become home to about 30 homeless people. Among them is Chris, who didn't want to be interviewed but agreed to be filmed. He lives in the tunnel's entrance and has taken on the role of guard. He alerts his neighbors to the arrival of visitors. Deeper into the tunnel, the surroundings change. There is carpet on the floor, electricity, art on the walls. Some of the inhabitants of this little underground city agreed to talk about the place they call home.
Well, the tunnel, I don't mind the tunnel. It's like free rent. You know, it's just, the only thing we're missing is running water.
Okay.
We even got sunlight sometimes if you go outside. You know what I mean? But the tunnel's not the bad part. It's Las Vegas that's the bad part. Like, I hate this place, but I love the fact that it's 24 hours and it's so convenient.
Mine is a lot more of a girly. I do all the cooking. I do laundry.
So you're kind of big family here?
Yeah, for sure. We're definitely a family, which is good and not good because it makes you comfortable. You know, and the last thing you want to do when you're homeless is become comfortable because you stay there. You know, it's easy to stay there. I don't want to stay here. I hate the tunnels.
The tunnel has rules, and if you don't follow them, you will be asked to leave. Among the rules, keep clean and respect others.
Oh yeah, well no, yeah, oh yeah, we take pride in that we don't steal from each other.
Craig is called the mayor. He's lived here for 7 years, making a living by selling lost golf balls picked up at a neighborhood club. He's the only one in the tunnel who gets payments from Social Security, about $800 a month, which he used to gamble away in the casinos, but says he no longer does. The underground inhabitants all have similar stories. Living on the streets, drug abuse. Paul used to live underground, but managed to get out.
I chose to stay high instead of change my life for a long time. And until that day came where I decided to switch the importance and choose that living life was more important than getting high, I wasn't able to do anything. But the day I made that decision, everything just kind of unfolded.
Today, Paul is a part of the non-profit Shine a Light group and regularly returns to the tunnel to bring food and clothing to his friends. The organization offers free rehab to those ready to give up their drug addiction. Paul says many are just not ready.
They've learned how to exist in a flood channel under Las Vegas and have everything they need except running water, which I wouldn't put it past them to figure out how to do that.
So he tries to convince them that there really is a light at the end of the tunnel, encouraging them to make the transition out of this underground life. Genia Dulo, VOA News, Las Vegas, Nevada.
So yes, so as you can see, they're pretty comfortable in the tunnels. Some of these people are chronic homeless. They don't want change. Some people don't want change. That's one of the issues, getting them to actually accept change and get rid of the habit, get rid of their addiction, their alcohol habit, their drug addiction, and move on to a better life if they can. So that's what the homeless outreach team is going to touch on more a little bit, is the more resources we have, the better to offer these people. So this slide right here is going to be the identified homeless camps since the start of 2018. As the councilman mentioned earlier, we have 12, and they're all mostly along the freeway corridor as well. A lot of them between the sound walls and where the communities are. And the reason for this is we found is they like to go out and panhandle there. They like to go out and commit whatever petty crimes they are. And this is it's easy for them to get money to feed their habit. So later this week I'll be going out with Jerry to 95 and Cheyenne. It's a constant issue for us, because between the sound walls and the apartment complex, there's some no man's land. That's where they like to live. They set up their tents and camps and mattresses, and we have to go and clean that up almost every week. Sometimes they go in dirt lots, like around here as well. That's off Cheyenne, and I'm not too sure the cross street. And then Tropical Parkway is close to the freeway as well, but mostly they're all along the freeways in our area. And this is vastly different from downtown or Bolden. There's a smaller area, they're more compact in one area. In Northwest Area Command, we have up to 100 square miles with our Victor and X-ray area, so they're all spread out. And that's one of our problems, is locating them and getting to them, getting the resources as well. This is the progress report. We update it as we go. The highlighted areas you can see are the ones that are most prevalent areas where we keep going to cleanups. Painted Desert, that's an area we keep going to and keep cleaning up. Alexander 95, the sound walls, we keep going out there to do cleanups. Cheyenne 95, the east and west sides of the freeway, constant there. We're always there. And then Rainbow West Cliff. But that doesn't mean we ignore all the other areas. We're still out there cleaning the other areas and doing follow-up and offering resources too. So I'm just going to showcase a couple of the things we've done when we work with our partners on the cleanups. So this is Bradley 215. As you can see, they don't like to adhere to the no trespassing sign. They just cut a hole in there and then through they go into the tunnels where no one can see them. And this is all the stuff when you go down in the tunnel they leave behind. They're not cleaning up their mess. They're leaving it for someone else to clean up. And it's a lot. Sometimes it's a lot. We've been in a tunnel where a person's lived in there for 6 months, and it goes all the way back for 100 feet of stuff that they packed in there, like little pack rats. So this is the after picture right here, after the cleanup. Thanks to our city workers and my COP team. This is the after picture. So right here, this is before, this is after right here. That's a good cleanup, right? That's what these guys are going down and cleaning it up. You don't see it from above. You see it down below. This is the cleanup we do. This is the result. The graffiti's getting removed, the trash is picked up, and it's making a better place. And also what we do is we have the trespassing signs posted. We put trespassing signs up so we can do extra enforcement when we come into contact with these people again. What do you think of this picture? Look at those needles. That's from one area. 40 needles in just one little tunnel. All exposed, no caps on them, being used. So that's what we're dealing with cleaning up. So Jerry, again, thank you for taking care of that. These are the city crews we deal with cleaning up. What does the cleanup entail? So basically we have to identify where the camp's at first. We go out and identify how many homeless are there. That's my team working right there. This is someone sleeping there. So we go out, we offer them resources. We don't generally arrest people unless they have to be arrested. That's not our goal. Our goal is to get them resources and help. So we go out, identify it, then we get our faith-based partners out there, along with our homeless outreach team, City Public Works, NDOT, Help Us Southern Nevada, and the HOAs. They all help in all of these cleanups. So it's a big collaborative effort with everybody. So when we get the cleanup done, we get the signs posted up, and then we move on to the next, and we continue our maintenance until hopefully the problem's solved. This is just another example of Cheyenne Rampart. You all know that intersection, right? That's a big intersection. If you're driving past, look to your right, you'll see the flood tunnels. So this is a nice little camp we run across, last month? And these are the people we found in right by the intersection there. So these people, I think 2 or 3 accepted resources that day, Help Us Southern Nevada. And they basically speak to them and find out what they want. They just want to feed their habit. Some of these people just don't want change. They just want to live and be comfortable in these tunnels. So Jerry comes along again with his crew and cleans it up, and then we maintain it. That's what we do. We maintain these areas. We don't want them to come back, but we want to get them help. Another area, Rancho and Rainbow area. So this is pretty close to Cheyenne and 95. These are the sound walls we're talking about right here at the freeway. But this is the apartment walls with the graffiti and tagging. This little tent, 7 people in this tent when we opened it up, sleeping in there. 7 people. So this is all the city crews coming to clean it up with their loaders. I think they had maybe 5 loaders that day, and then we had to get the tagging cleaned up as well. But what happens if we leave this tagging and it doesn't go away, it doesn't get cleaned up? It's kind of like an attraction to the homeless again to come back. So it's kind of like the broken window theory. If we don't clean it up, make it nice and spotless along with our city teams, then they're just going to come back. So that's why we have to keep working and working to make sure these areas don't come back to the homeless. This is one of my officers right here, Officer Skinner, in one of the tunnels. See this? This is someone's clothesline, drying their clothes in the tunnel. This is shelving that they have in the tunnels. This is the guy who's been living in the tunnel for 6 months. I think we got him out, but he was deep in the tunnel, no one knew who he was, just knew a person lived in the tunnels. Examples of more tents, when you drive around the streets, there's people living in the tunnels, and the city team helping clean up. They do a really outstanding job of helping clean up. So when you see the city workers, they are doing an outstanding job of really helping us and cleaning all this stuff up. So basically the message I want to give to you guys is what can you do to help? So you see people sometimes giving money, getting the panhandlers coming up. I see someone shaking their head. No, that's not what we want to do. That's not what we want to see you guys doing. If we're going to give outreach to them, we want to be there to give them outreach. We want to give them the resources they need. So if someone's just giving them money, what's that going to go to? Unless you're going to feed their addiction, right? So we don't want that. If you're going to give them food, that's not really going to help either, because they're going to leave the trash on the ground, and that's still going to be cleaned up. So what we do give them the food. Obviously we don't give them money, but we give them the resources at the same time that they need, and that's where the homeless outreach team comes into it. So there's a website at the bottom here. It's meaningfulchangelasvegas.org that shows you how to donate responsibility, how if you want to volunteer and help out, because that's what we need. Is we don't need people just handing out money. We just want meaningful change to help the homeless. We've got a quick 30-second public safety announcement video from that come down from the sheriff. So let's play this.
More than 16,000 people are considered homeless in Las Vegas, and the cost of cleanup, hospital visits, and the demands on police and paramedic units is costing more than $48 million a year. Most of us would love to help, but handouts and spare change don't result in meaningful change. This holiday season, donate responsibly to charities that are making a real difference. Visit meaningfulchangelv.com to join us in making this a season.
Okay, so let's get to the end of my slideshow right here. So we're going to just touch on downtown real quick. I know they've done a really marvelous job of the cleaning up main Master. I don't think it looks like that now, does it? It's completely cleaned up. So look at the tents right here. You don't get to see that living up here, but that was an issue down there. It's been cleaned up, and it's a lot better now as well. And that's what we want. We don't want this turning into a skid row. This is why we're ahead of the curve. Our department's ahead of the curve. We have special teams, homeless outreach team. Every area command is dealing with the homeless right now. It's a big issue, so we want to be ahead of it and prevent it becoming a chronic problem. And this is the courtyard. This is a resource center. The homeless outreach team officer is going to touch on this a little bit more in just a minute and hand it over.
At 11, the city of Las Vegas continues its homeless outreach efforts with a homeless facility downtown that's recently started to provide services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. 8 News Now reporter Darlene Melendez visited the site today with a look. Joining us now live, Darlene.
Well, Brian, this year's homeless census shows there are more than 6,000 people who are homeless in southern Nevada. More than half of those are living here in the streets of Las Vegas, not in shelters. So that expanding facility's goal is to get those people off of the streets and into safety. The dangers of being homeless in Las Vegas are many. Extreme temperatures, even crimes targeting those living on the streets.
People with weapons, knives. Yeah, while you're sleeping, they can hurt you.
For Artemis Thompson, what's made being homeless most difficult is something easily taken for granted.
Take a shower.
For almost a month, Thompson has been off of the streets and getting to shower every day here at the City of Las Vegas courtyard. It started as a pilot program. Now the city-funded facility is 24 hours, offers cooling stations, medical and mental health services, and guard-patrolled shelter.
They don't have some of the same fears that they have outside of our gates.
Alexandria Anderson is the executive director of Southern Nevada CHIPS, the courtyard's operating manager. She understands her tenants' needs and worries.
So what made me want to get involved with this, Okay.
Anderson, too, was once homeless.
When you are in a space where your basic need of shelter is not being provided, really getting to anything else can be extremely daunting.
Unlike other shelters, the courtyard doesn't breathalyze. Tenants can keep their pets and store all of their belongings.
They need more facilities like this, period. You know, just to give people a chance to get off the street.
The only requirement to get in is register with the courtyard's database and have some hope for the future.
What are your plans now?
Find an apartment. I'm looking right now for a good one.
And right now the courtyard can shelter about 120 people, and like I said, it is expanding, and when that's completed, it's expected to be able to serve at least 600 people. That's expected to be completed by the end of next year.
Since I get to be the cheerleader of the night, I figure I better sing their praises as well. So here's what the really incredible thing about these officers is. How many of you think that when officers sign up that they want to be part of a full-time homeless program? Who thinks that? Who thinks that when you're dealing with the homeless, you get to drive past and take really bad guys to jail? Right? So I tell you that because I want you to understand how special these guys are. They have now dedicated their whole time, 24/7, what they do is take care of this issue. They're the first ever, Metro's first ever homeless outreach team, which means that they're housed out of headquarters. They're working with amazing people like Jerry, with our elected officials, to really take this outreach to the next level. So we asked them to come tonight, number one, so we could all learn about the amazing things that they're doing, but number two, so you could see firsthand how seriously our agency is taking this issue. So thank you guys so much for coming. Really happy to have
you. I'm rather loud, so I don't believe I need the microphone. Hello, good evening. I'm Officer Hanoff. I'm with the Homeless Outreach Team. I'm on Team 3. First, I'd like to discuss the makeup of our team. There are 8 officers on our squad, and we work directly for the lieutenant, and we work right under Chief Walsh. So our chain of command is very short. That's because the undersheriff and the sheriff want to keep track of us because of the political nature of our job. Like I said, there's 8 officers. We are on the homeless outreach team, and that means there's only 6 on our team. We specialize in the county and county resources. The other 2 officers are assigned to the MORE team to work directly with the city and the city marshals. So our team is divided, but we constantly work with one another. For example, if my partner and I are down in the wash and we come across a large camp of 40 people, we will call one of the other teams. And that the other teams will come over and help us out. We work a lot with Help Us Southern Nevada, who's contracted through the county, and the MORE team works a lot with the city and the city council to do stuff with the courtyard and get them resources. Right now, we're being really successful, and in outreach, let me explain what a success is. We made contact with a little over 2,500 people consensually in the last 3 months. In outreach, we've gotten 157 people off the streets and out of homelessness. That means moving into an apartment, into a psychology facility, detox, in situations where they're no longer considered homeless. The largest camp we've dealt with is 420 people living in city jurisdictions, so we help the MORE team and the marshals with that. The smallest camp we've had is 1 person with 3 tents. We were able to get him housed. We've had successes, we've had a lot of failures. I tell my wife, if we make contact with 100 people in a week and we get 1 person off the streets, that's a good week. Boom, before the collapse and the bust, he came out here and he specialized in putting stained glass windows into casinos. He was doing really good. Him and his wife got a divorce. Things spiraled, he started drinking a lot. He was laid off. He's been homeless since 2008. He's got family. He's from South Carolina. He's lost touch with them. He didn't even know that his oldest daughter has 3 children now. So we talked to John for a while. 4 hours? Approximately 4 hours we talked to John. He was in Spring Valley Area Command, and he agreed to allow us to call his daughter and see if we can get him a bus ticket home, and possibly a detox clinic down here to help him stop drinking. We spent these 4 hours with him, getting to know him, building rapport with him, getting him to trust us. After all that time goes by, we're working on getting him the bus ticket, we're working on getting food for his trip back home. We've contacted his daughter, who is, because of her father's homelessness, has become a social worker herself, dealing with senior citizens. And she's like, yes, get my father home to me, and let him know he has 3 granddaughters now. So I gave him my phone, and he talked to his daughter, and they started crying. So it gets close to the time where we're going to put John in our car, and John can't go. John tells us that he can't go today. I need to say goodbye to my friends. John has been homeless, and he's been living with these people on the streets, and they become his best friends in his family. And then I found out he hasn't talked to his daughter in 5 years. So the people he's been living with on the streets, drinking with and hanging out with, have become his family. So tomorrow we're going to go out there and talk to John again. I've got a good relationship with his daughter. I'll call her tomorrow and we'll try to get him a ride. My squad, we've gotten, it's kind of a delicate situation. We had a female from Denmark. She came to America as a mail order bride.
Wow.
It turned into a domestic situation where he was physically abusing her. The neighbors called the police. He punished her by taking her passport, her driver's license, and any type of identification, and said, "You're illegally in the country. If you call the police again, you're going to go to prison." That's what they do here. Well, finally, she had enough and she ran away. She was living over on Boulder Highway in front of Sportsman's Manor, I believe. So officers from our team made contact with her. We told her that he was doing this to control her and that we could get her protection, we could get her help. Through our different partners in the private, religious, and Help Us Southern Nevada, we were able to get her a plane ticket back home to Denmark. We got her passport through Lutheran Social Services. We got her bus fare in Denmark, and we got her in touch with a religious group in Denmark to deal with any type of PTSD. That's just one success. It took 4 days. We've made contact with the same people 13, 14 times, and we've been successful and we've not been successful. We're dealing with people who've got addictions, mental illnesses. A lot of times people that treat their own mental illnesses with addictions. They're self-medicating with meth, heroin, cocaine, a lot of pain pills leading to the heroin. So we as a squad, we chip away at all these issues. We just don't call, I say, the secretary over at Lutheran Social Services. We don't call the security guard at Catholic Charities. We call the CEOs and the CFOs. We call the directors. Because I believe, my squad is all made up of COP officers that have been on for quite a long time. We've got a lot of experience. I'm one of the junior guys with almost 11 years on the department. So there's a lot of experience on my squad, and every single one of us volunteered, conducted an oral board, tested with our lieutenant, and we really feel passionate about this job. If I get one person off the street, it makes my week. I love it. Just getting one person back with their family, it's amazing.
So, to understand this, homelessness has become an epidemic, and a big majority of our homeless population, believe it or not, are coming from out of state. Most of these people have come here from work. Some have gotten work, some haven't. A big problem that we have in this era, if you want to say, is young homelessness. That's the biggest thing. I remember, I'm born and raised here. I've been an officer for 15 years. I first started here in Northwest Area Command. When I started here 15 years ago, there wasn't much out here, so the homeless problem wasn't as big. I spent most of my career on the southeast side of town along Boulder Highway. Boulder Highway's always had those problems, but I remember as a kid, come to an off-ramp off the freeway, it was usually some senior citizen, elderly person, Vietnam veteran, whatever it was, holding those signs. A big problem that we're coming across now is not the elderly or those who have been on the streets a long time. It's our heroin addicted, drug addicted, runaways, lots of problems of youth. We're talking anywhere from 18 to 30, and we see these people, and they are able-bodied, the majority of them. They should be working, and these drugs have gotten hold of them. So that's one of the big things we're dealing with out here, is these young people that we see to be able-bodied. I did COP on the southeast side of town for many years, and it seems to be growing. You guys have all seen that, and like the captain mentioned earlier, and the sergeants, it's slowly progressed this way, and it's not just centralized into one part of town. I mean, homelessness are everywhere. We've even seen them up at Red Rock. We've seen them out in Wetlands Park on the other side of town. I mean, they're getting everywhere. And Laughlin, I mean, just all over parts of Clark County. And what draws a lot of them in here originally was the work, and some of them have become accustomed to homelessness. Some of them, one of the gentlemen we can make contact today, he has been homeless for 25 years. And this is all he knows. From age 20, he said he was running away all the time when he was 13, came out here with his dad at 19, had his feuds, ran away from dad again. He knows nothing else. We offered him every resource that we could give him. There was no excuse for him to continue to be on the street, but we can't force these people to get off the streets. We can only give them options. And this guy knows nothing else but homelessness, and I don't see him ever leaving the streets. One thing about our county and our city, we do have resources. A lot of people tell you, especially a lot of the homeless, well, we don't have this, you don't have that, I don't want to do this. And my partner said, they come up with 100 excuses, we got to find 101 to get them off the streets. The resources are there, it's just these people don't like the options or guidelines or rules. They want, a lot of them, handouts. They want the free handouts. And like the slide said and the sergeant said, feeding them, handing them those things is not going to make a big change. They know as long as they stand on a corner, 5,000 cars go by, but if 5 of those 5,000 give them 20 bucks a piece, they scored whatever they need that day, whether it be alcohol, drugs, enough to, some of them will save up enough to just get a room at one of these daily weeklies for a night or two. That's enough to shower, clean up, and then go right back to homelessness. So when we say the resources are there, we work with a lot of organizations hand in hand. And in the 3 months that our team has started, COP, each area command has its own COP team. Most of you guys know your COP team members here. And what we pass on to these first Tuesdays into the citizens, your point of contact, understand this, even though we're a new unit, your point of contact will always be your COP teams. If you got a complaint of homelessness, call your COP teams. If you have a location, a squatter home, any of that, you will still contact your COP teams. While we are building up our unit to understand, we are out there to assist all your COP teams and offer these people resources. One of the funny things that Captain had mentioned when we started, none of us got into this career ever thinking that we were going to be out there becoming like a caseworker, social worker, offering resources as a police officer. My job was to do what the citizens wanted us to do. Go out, catch the bad guy, stop the crime. But in our years as police officers, we come to know that homelessness is not a crime. Homelessness is, in its as is not a crime. But what we do know is a big majority of our homeless population are committing crimes. And when I say committing crimes, anywhere from breaking into your home while you're out working, breaking into your cars. One thing a lot of these COP officers and officers will tell you, you go to these homeless camps, and like you saw in those pictures, they're literally hoarders at a homeless camp. I mean, when I tell these homeless people, I go, you got more stuff in your tent or in your tunnel than I do in my garage, that's a problem. And they really do. And we see bicycle galore. And I remember one of the homeless camps last year, my COP team did a Christmas project, and we donated 35 bicycles to kids in need. I found 5 of those bicycles at a homeless camp. And they were stolen off patios. So they part them out. They scrap the bicycle parts, they find cans, they find metal, whatever it is they can scrap and collect their money. So when I say the homelessness aren't committing the majority of your crimes, they are committing the crimes, a big portion of them. Some of them are decent, down to earth, just fell on hard times, and they're still respectful and getting by. But like I said, we get into these youthful homeless we're dealing with, they are committing crimes. They're breaking into cars, they're panhandling. I've seen them, we've been out on them where they're getting so aggressive because somebody won't give them money, they want to attack them. You know, they're yelling at them, screaming at them, pulling knives on them because somebody didn't want to give them money. They need to get their drugs sometimes, and they're going to push a bad situation if they have to get it. So we're combating that. The sheriff's initiative was to reduce the violent crime. And one way we see about going about that is trying to get somebody off the streets back on their feet. We know somebody's got shelter, it's a good start for them. So our team with 8 officers, like you said, there's 6 of us assigned to the county, and then the other 2 are with the city. The city is the MORE team. So those 2 officers per contract with the city are 2 metro officers and then 4 to 5 service providers. Those providers come from Help Us Southern Nevada, Catholic Charities, West Care, US Vets, and they ride around in a van with those officers and they make contacts within the city limits. There are also 4 city marshals, and they have their own separate teams. So in a total, there are 3 teams within the city that go around, and this is all they do is make contact at the homeless camps and offer resources. But what we're realizing as an agency and as a community, there's not a whole lot within the county limits. So as you get beyond the city, most of our resources, most of our shelters, everything are down in the city. Catholic Charities, the Courtyard facility, most of our rehab centers, most of our insurance providers are within the city limits. The county has contracted Help Us Southern Nevada. I don't know if many of you seen them. They go around in yellow shirts. You'll see them a lot at these homeless encampments. They make contact, they offer services. But if these people take services, what we're noticing is they kind of have to drive these people down to the city limits. Now, if these people refuse those services while they're down there, guess what? They're in the city. So one of the things we noticed with the county, and most of these people that are homeless within our city tend to stick to a side of town, somewhere they're familiar with. So a lot of these people, northwest side of town, whatever, if they grew up in this area, they know where their drug dealer is, they know, they know people, they're gonna stick to these sides of town. So what we're trying to do is offer, it's hard for us, we don't enforce a lot of the laws that we can. We're trying to get these people the resources. So what I want you guys to understand is, if you take anything away from this tonight, is donate to the shelters, donate to these religious groups that help, but we can only push this to you guys enough. Feeding them, donating them money on the corner because of a broken heart, or you just want to do something good today. There are resources out there. These people can take advantage of them, and that's what we're trying to offer these people. We want them to know there are the resources. If they are legitimate in their mind and just need a push to get to rehab, to whatever it is, donate to those shelters, donate to those agencies that are going to help them long term. Because these people short term are just kind of, they're going to keep riding on whatever you give them. So make those contacts with your COP team, let them know where your issues are. They will reach out to us. We will go out to those encampments wherever they are. We will offer the resources, but I ask that you guys just donate responsibly, pass that word to your neighbors, to your co-workers, to donate responsibly to these places, and we will help in any means. But the resources are there. We just need your community support, and we will try to address this issue. We will never solve all of homelessness, but we are going to do our best, and the sheriff took action quickly before we come like some of these other cities who have a problem that they're probably never going to get out of.
Okay.
To contact the COP groups or teams, is that on your website, or what are the numbers for that?
So they'll pass that at the end. All your COP officers are here. Each area command has one. Okay. If it's an emergency issue, you're driving around and see something violent, call 911. But you can call the non-emergency number 311, let them know of the issue, and those requests get passed to your COP teams. We will leave, and I'll give it to you afterwards if you want to come up questions. We do have an email or a web page for our team. It's homeless outreach at LVMPD.com. You can email us with those issues. Like I said, we're covering the whole entire county with just us 8 officers, so we are all over the place. Contact your COP teams, and if it's on a large-scale problem, we are gonna go out with those teams, and we're gonna offer the resources, the cleanups, whatever we can. So start with your COP teams, and then we will work with them from there to help reduce those problems in your guys' area.
It might help to know how we deploy. Thanks for the claps. But how we deploy is we get with the COP teams and we see where their hot spots were. Remember that map with the heat? We get with them, we get those heat maps, we track FIs, we track the 400 codes. That's how our units deploy, is through the 400 codes. If it's got a U for unhoused designation, we track those. And then on our Mondays, we have a deployment meeting with our lieutenant. We look at all this information, where we need to focus. Each team is assigned an area command. So, for example, my partner and I are responsible for Summerlin Area Command when it opens up, Spring Valley Area Command, and Northwest Area Command. So you'll see us in these areas, but we look at the maps on Monday and we see where we're going to go. It's an hour meeting, it's really quick. We talk with our lieutenant what best resources. If the COP teams are doing a big cleanup, we start hitting those camps before the COP teams do the cleanups to offer resources. We do very little enforcement. That's to build a rapport. Does that answer your question?
If you see us in this uniform, that's why we wore it tonight.
You're the hot team.
Yeah, we don't wear this tan uniform because we are literally going into these tunnels. We are climbing down. We are getting into the desert lots. We are getting into that. So we wanted you guys to see what we're out there wearing. If you see us in these greens, know we're out there in these desert lots and in these tunnels just like these guys, doing the best we can. So if there's something we can help you with, you see us out there, let us know where you're having issues. We'll help you out. But COP teams are your main point of contact. So thank you guys.
Just real quick, thank you everyone for coming tonight. I just want to let you guys know to contact our COP team. There is a phone number. You can go onto the website as well, but 828-3426 is our direct line to get hold of our front office. 828-3426. I speak quick sometimes too. So with that, I'll pass it off to Captain Malcolm.
You want me to translate what he said? 828-3426. I speak British. So what do you guys think about homelessness? Are we on the right track? Do you have questions? Do you have anything as it relates to homelessness? Yes, sir.
From my experience building food banks, they are a lifeline for people in economic duress. And if you support food banks, you're helping people who could be on the edge of going into a homeless situation.
I agree, 100%. And you know, kind of what that PSA was trying to get you guys to understand is the dollar you give out your window, although it might make you feel good, it's not necessarily going to the right place. And here's the other thing. I hate to blame the firemen for everything, but they're such an easy target. Totally kidding. But really that's why that law is that we can't enforce the panhandling, right, in the intersections. I know because you guys call Northwest all the time and complain about the guys in the middle and girls in the middle of the intersection with their signs. And I know people get really frustrated about it. And listen, let me be honest, I get frustrated too. Because they get a little bit more brazen and a little bit more brazen. And if you have a neighborhood where they frequent, you will see the same people, right? And you'll see them day in and day out, and you're like, man, why is Metro not doing something about this? So the way the laws are written is as long as they're not impeding or obstructing traffic or actually getting in the travel lanes, which I know they do, and every time I see it, trust me, I'm on the phone with these lieutenants making them crazy. It's usually on a Sunday morning when they're like, don't you have anything better to do than bother me? But I understand, and we are enforcing it to the best of the ability as it relates to the law. So continue to communicate your frustrations with people that actually have impact in the creation of the laws. And we will do the best we can to enforce it with every opportunity. And the second part of this, remember, we look at it as a three-prong approach. The panhandlers, squatters in vacant homes, which I know you guys have issues with, and then true homelessness. So we deal with all three aspects of those, sometimes in a similar manner and sometimes in a completely different manner. So they are all on our radar. I promise they're not going unnoticed, and we hear your concerns. But with that, I know it's getting late, and I just want to thank you for your time. My COP team is around, and they will wait until the very last one of you leaves to make sure we answer all of your questions and concerns. We will be here next month in April, and we have a really special presentation for you. So look out on Facebook and Twitter and Nextdoor for my video to tell you what it is we're going to talk about, because I'm going to keep the cat in the bag. Have a good week and a safe drive home. Thank you.